Good morning. This is the third session of the fourth module, therapeutic equipments. The therapeutic equipments which we discuss in today's session are surgical diathermy and ventilators. The first one is a surgical diathermy. Surgical diathermy is a passage of a high frequency alternating current through the body to produce desirable surgical effects involving cutting and coagulation. Coagulation is a process of a liquid, especially blood, changing to a solid to a semi-solid state. As per Faraday's effect, electric current through body tissues causes intense neuromuscular stimulation and alteration of cardiac rhythm at normal frequency of 50 Hz. This neuromuscular stimulation gradually decreases and disappears around 50 kHz. So the principle of surgical diathermy is as follows. The frequency of currents used in surgical diathermy unit is in the range of 1 to 3 MHz, which is quite a high frequency in comparison with that of the 50 Hz main supply. This high frequency avoids the intense muscle activity and electrocution hazards which occur if lower frequencies are employed. The power levels required for electrosurgery are below the threshold of neural stimulation, provided that the diathermy frequency is in the radio frequency range. So when the frequency is at least 300 kHz, both the Faradic and electrolytic effects are largely eliminated during the flow of current through the human tissue. This then allows the exclusive utilization of the thermal effect in high frequency surgery, providing both the applications for cutting and coagulation. The four types of electrosurgery techniques based on this principle are cutting or electrotomy, coagulation, fulguration and desiccation. When high frequency current flows through the sharp edge of a wire loop or band loop or the point of a needle into the tissue, there is a high concentration of current at this point. The tissue is heated to such an extent that the cells which are immediately under the electrode are torn apart by the boiling of the cell fluid. This type of tissue separation forms the basis of the electrosurgical cutting. Electrosurgical coagulation of tissue is caused by the high frequency current flowing through the tissue and heating it locally so that it coagulates from inside. The coagulation process is accompanied by a grayish-white discoloration of the tissue at the edge of the electrode. The term fulguration refers to a superficial tissue destruction without affecting deep-seated tissues. This is undertaken by passing sparks from a needle or a ball electrode of small diameter to the tissue. When the electrode is held near the tissue without touching it, an electric arc is produced whose heat dries out the tissue. In desiccation, needle point electrodes are stuck into the tissue and then kept steady. Depending upon the intensity and duration of the current, a high local increase in heat will be obtained. The tissue changes due to drying and limited coagulation. The concurrent use of continuous radiofrequency current for cutting and a burst wave radiofrequency for coagulation is called hemostasis mode. Different types of waveforms have been used to produce different effects of surgical procedures. This figure shows the typical waveforms found in commercial equipments for cutting and coagulation. The cutting current usually results in bleeding at the site of incision. Bloodless cutting is achieved by combining two waveforms called blend waveform, whose frequency is generally the same as that used for cutting current. The blend waveform is shown in the figure. The use of high frequency current offers a number of advantages. Electric cutting does not require any application of force, resulting in effortless surgery. The electrode virtually melts through the tissue instantaneously and seals capillary and other vessels, thus preventing contamination by bacteria. Coagulation saves valuable time since bleeding can be arrested immediately by touching the spot briefly with the coagulating electrode. The figure shows a block diagram of the solid state surgical diathermy machine. A surgical diathermy machine consists of a high frequency power oscillator The earlier types of diathermy machines consisted of spark gap oscillators, but now they are replaced by thermionic valves or solid state oscillators. Biological tissue can only be cut when the voltage between the cutting electrode and the tissue to be cut is high enough to produce electric arcs between the cutting electrode and the tissue. The frequency of operation of solid state diathermy machines is around 250 kHz to 1 MHz. They deliver 400 watts in 500 ohms load at 2000 volt in the cutting mode and around 150 watt in the coagulation mode. In coagulation, the burst duration is 10 to 15 seconds and the repetition frequency of the burst is 15 kHz. The logic and control part produces the basic signal and provides various timing signals for the cutting, coagulation and hemostasis mode of operation. An astable multivibrator generates this 500 kHz square pulses. The output from this oscillator is divided into a number of frequencies by using binary counters. These are the frequencies which are used as system timing signals. A 250 kHz signal provides a split phase signal to drive the output stages on the power output circuit. A 15 kHz gating signal produces the repetition rate for the 3 cycles of 250 kHz signal, which make up the coagulating output. And the 250 kHz signal used for cutting is given to the power output stage, where it controls the push-pull parallel power transistor output stage. The output of this high-power push-pull amplifier is applied to a transformer which provides voltage step-up and isolation for the output signal of the machine. The audio tone generator generates signals at audio frequencies such as 1 kHz, 500 Hz and 250 Hz derived from the counter to identify the different modes of operation such as coagulation, cutting and hemostasis respectively. Besides these functional circuits, logic circuits are used to receive external control signals and to operate the isolating relays, give visual indications and determine the alarm conditions. A thermostat is sometimes mounted on the power amplifier heatsink. In case of over temperature, it becomes open circuited, signaling an alarm and interrupting the output. The electric current can flow only if the electric circuit is complete or closed. In terms of current flow, there are basically two types of electrosurgical techniques, the monopolar and the bipolar technique. The monopolar technique is shown in figure. The current flows from the active electrode through the patient to the neutral electrode, which is the patient plate, from which it returns to the generator. The cutting and coagulating effect depends on the contact area between the monopolar active electrode and the tissue, which is very small compared with the contact area between the patient plate and the patient's skin. In bipolar technique, two electrodes are used. The current in this case flows through the tissue between the tips of the two electrodes, that is the forceps, and returns to the generator without passing through the patient. The bipolar surgery is not only safer than monopolar but is also more precise, since the current only flows locally at the specific site where it is actually required for heat generation. In addition, the risk of inadvertent burning of the patient at the patient plate is also very low. Therefore, the bipolar technique is becoming a method of choice wherever possible. The next therapeutic equipment we discuss is ventilator. Respiration is a process of supplying oxygen to and removing carbon dioxide from the tissues. These gases are carried in the blood, oxygen from the lungs to the tissues and carbon dioxide from the tissues to the lungs. The gas exchanges in the lungs is called external respiration and those in the tissues is called internal respiration. There is a very delicate balance between the absorption and excretion of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the lungs and the tissues, and this balance is maintained by the respiratory or the breathing activity. Mechanical ventilation is a form of life support. A mechanical ventilator is a machine that takes over the work of breathing when a person is not able to breathe enough on their own. The mechanical ventilator is also called ventilator, respirator or breathing machine. Artificial ventilation is provided by mechanical devices in case of reduced breathing or respiratory failure. These devices supply enough oxygen and eliminate the right amount of carbon dioxide, maintain the desired arterial partial pressure of carbon dioxide and the desired arterial oxygen tension. Mechanical aids for manual artificial ventilation consists of a mask, breathing valve and self-filling bag as shown in the figure. The mask, which is of soft rubber or plastic, is held firmly over the patient's mouth and nose so that it fits tightly. The breathing valve serves to guide the air so that fresh air or air enriched with oxygen is supplied to the patient and expired air is conducted away. The bag is squeezed with one hand and functions as a pump. It is self-expanding and fills automatically with the fresh air or oxygen when the patient breathes out. When artificial ventilation needs to be maintained for a long time, a ventilator is used. A ventilator is a machine that provides mechanical ventilation by moving breathable air into and out of the lungs to deliver breaths to a patient who is physically unable to breathe or breathing insufficiently. Ventilators are also used during anesthesia and are designed to match human breathing waveform or pattern. Negative pressure ventilators and positive pressure ventilators are two methods used in mechanical ventilators. Negative pressure ventilators ventilate the lungs in a manner close to natural respiration. Natural respiration is a result of negative pressure in the pleural cavity generated by the movement of the diaphragm. The pleural cavity is a space that lies between the pleura, that is the two thin membranes that line and surround the lungs. The diaphragm located below the lungs, we can see in the diagram, is the major muscle of respiration. It is a large dome-shaped muscle that contracts rhythmically and continually and most of the time involuntarily. Upon inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and flattens the chest cavity, and the chest cavity enlarges. This contraction creates a vacuum which pulls air into the lungs. Upon exhalation, the diaphragm relaxes and returns to its dome-like shape and the air is forced out of the lungs. Negative pressure ventilators were designed to create the same effect. Negative pressure applied to the chest walls increases the volume of the thoracic cage or the rib cage, dropping the pressure inside the lungs. The pressure gradient between the atmosphere and the lungs causes the flow of atmospheric air into the lungs. The inspiratory and expiratory phases of the respiration are controlled by cycling the pressure inside the body chamber. This method is not so popular due to difficulty in the implementation of the concept. This figure shows the principle of a positive pressure ventilator. During inspiration, the inspiratory flow delivery system creates a positive pressure greater than the atmospheric pressure in the patient circuit, and the exhalation control system closes the outlet to the atmosphere. During the expiratory phase, the inspiratory flow delivery system stops the positive pressure at the exhalation system and opens the valves to allow the exhaled air to the atmosphere. Positive pressure ventilators have been found to be quite successful in treating patients with a wide range of pulmonary disorders. Positive pressure ventilators operate either in mandatory or spontaneous mode. In spontaneous breath delivery, the ventilator responds to the patient's effort to breathe independently. Therefore, the patient can control the volume and rate of respiration. Spontaneous breath delivery is used for those patients who are on their way to full recovery but are not completely ready to breathe from the atmosphere without mechanical assistance. When delivering mandatory breaths, the ventilator controls all parameters of the breath such as tidal volume, inspiratory flow waveform, respiratory rate and oxygen content of the breath. Mandatory breaths are normally delivered to the patients who are incapable of breathing on their own. Anesthesia ventilators are generally small and simple equipments used to give regular assisted breathing during an operation. and intensive care ventilators are more complicated. It gives control over a wide range of parameters and often incorporate patient triggering facility. That is, a ventilator delivers air to the patient when the patient tries to inhale. The figure shows the block diagram of a typical microprocessor controlled ventilator. The ventilator, as you know, pushes a mixture of air and oxygen into the patient's lungs to get oxygen into the body. The ventilated system here consists of a patient circuit, the airway and the alveoli. Alveoli are an important part of the respiratory system whose function is to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide molecules to and from the bloodstream, and they are arranged in clusters throughout the lungs. During the inspiratory phase, a certain gas volume is delivered into the system, resulting in the increase of the airway pressure and alveolar pressure, with the airway pressure always being higher than the alveolar pressure. When the pressure of the patient circuit and alveolar pressure becomes equal, the inspiratory flow ends and expiratory flow begins, and the pressure in the patient circuit is allowed to decrease. It is necessary to provide a time delay between the cycling of the ventilator and the changes from inspiratory flow to expiratory flow in the airway. During this time delay or pause time, the flow becomes zero when the alveolar pressure equals the airway pressure and constant volume is maintained in the lungs. Ventilator machine consists of two separate but interconnected systems: the pneumatic flow system, that is the upper part of the block diagram, and an electronic control system, which is the lower part. The pneumatic flow system enables the flow of gas through the ventilator. Oxygen and medical grade air enters the ventilator at some 3.5 bar pressure through built-in micron filters. These gases enters the air-oxygen mixture where they combine at the required percentage and reduced in pressure. The gases then enter a large reservoir tank. An electronically controlled flow valve proportions the gas flow from the reservoir tank to the patient breathing circuit. During exhalation, the exhaled gases exit through an electronically controlled exhalation valve located at the ventilator. Microprocessors are used to control each valve to deliver the desired inspiratory air and oxygen flows for mandatory and spontaneous ventilation. The electronic control system may use one or more microprocessors and software to perform monitoring and control functions in a ventilator, including setting of the respiration rate, flow waveform, tidal volume, oxygen concentration of the delivered breath, pressure support level sensitivity, etc. There are many sensors connected to the electronic processing units that monitors pressure flow and oxygen fraction. The signals are also compared with the preset alarm level so that if they fall outside a predetermined normal range, alarms are sounded. Thank you.